Hello everyone, welcome to my channel WishInfinite. So this is my 10th video of this Playwright with TypeScript live quiz series, and here we are going to discuss questions related to the test annotation. In the previous video also we have seen some questions related to the test annotations. We will be continuing that particular part. So I will share my screen and I will also share the link. Okay, so now my screen should be visible. Here either you can use this scan the QR code to join this particular quiz, or I'm also sharing the link with you guys. Okay, so here's the link to join this Slido quiz. We have got hello from Shiva. Now you guys should be able to see the link onto the screen. I will just wait for the 5 minutes and then we will continue with this particular quiz. I will just start the clock so that everyone can join quickly, right? So I will just tell them what I will do. I will just quickly explain that what exactly we are going to do as part of this particular quiz. So this is 10 part, as I told you. So previously we have seen so many topics, right? So here from this particular playlist, which is Playwright tutorials. Okay, so here we have covered all these topics like Playwright introduction, installation, the basic scripting, VS Code options, then assign await, page fixture, locators, CSS selectors, right? Locator methods, locator options, get by methods, assertions, and then configuration, HTML report. So like this, we have covered all these topics, and now we are going for this particular topic, which is test annotations, right? And as I told previously, also we have seen some questions related to it. We would be continuing more questions because there are multiple test annotations, right, which can be used and there can be questions related to it. It is not like that as if I am giving 15 questions here, so all of them are going to be part of interview. But if there is a one question which is coming out of this particular quiz, so that would be helpful for you, right? Because no one will ask all the questions related to the just the test annotation. There are multiple topics and there can be multiple questions related to different topics, right? So what what you need to do, I have already shared the link. You need to join that link, and here I will start the quiz. You will be getting the answer and different options for that. You can select the option whichever you feel is correct, and then I would be showing the leaderboard also to you. The people who select correct answer within less time frame will be on to they are onto the top of the leaderboard. Okay, I will be displaying the name, and I will also be posting this leaderboard there onto the community post so that whosoever is winning will feel appreciated. Okay, we have 3 more minutes. Let's quickly join it. 6 people have already joined. We are Saurabh, Sakshi, Anam, Parminder, and Shiva. We will wait for these 2 minutes and then we will continue further with the test annotation related questions. I will also open my document here. And here I will go to the topic so that you would be able to see that document, and you can use this document for your practice purpose, right? And for your revision purpose. I have already provided this document link for all the videos, so you can use that particular link and see this particular document. Okay, so this is Playwright Test Annotation, which we would be covering. This link is there onto the chat. You can use the same link, right, from the chat, or you can use this scan code to join this, right? You need to go to Slido and then you need to put your name, and then that's it, you can join the quiz. And in between, guys, if you feel that you are getting any doubt related to any questions which we cover into this particular live video, so you can ask questions related to that in between or after the video. Okay. We have 1 more minute left and then we will start with the quiz. And guys, if you are posting any questions, try to stick to this particular topic related to the test annotation, so that it would be easy for me to explain and it would be easy for other viewers to relate, right? What exactly we are discussing. I will be displaying the question onto the screen, and then we can discuss that particular question. Okay, now I think people have already joined. Who are going to join? We can continue now. Let me stop the clock. Okay, and now let's start. So I will start with the first question. So here's the first question. What does test.set timeout 0 means? And here are all the options. Option A is the test will fail immediately. Option B is the test has no timeout limits. Option C is the test timeout in 0 millisecond, and option D is the test is skip. Now you can select the correct answer. You have 30 more seconds, 35 more seconds. Okay, now all the people have given answer, and 71% people have selected the test has no timeout limits, and 29% people have selected the test timeout is 0 millisecond. Okay, so now let me read the correct answer, and the correct answer is option B, which is the test has no timeout limit. So whenever you provide the set timeout, how you need to provide that is very simple, right? You can just select this test dot set timeout, right? Like this also you can give test dot set timeout, and here you can provide that timeout, right? It can be, that timeout will be in millisecond, and once you provide 0 here, so for this particular test there will be no limit. So when this timeout is useful, let's say your test is taking by default it is I think 30 seconds for each test. Let's say there is test which is quite long and it is taking some time, right? And for that, if you want to set some more timeout, so that you can do. But if you want that particular test, for that particular test you don't want any limit, right? So in that case you can set it to 0. Usually it will be not recommended to use it more to set it like this, so that you will be stuck into that particular test only, right? So if it is very specific condition where you want to remove the timeout, in that case you can use the set timeout. And now let's go to the next question. What is the purpose of test.fail? So option A is to skip the test, option B is to mark the test as expected to fail, option C is to retry the test, and option D is to stop the test runner. You have 45 more seconds, you can select the correct answer. So here test.fail in the video also I have discussed when we need to use it, how we need to use it, and what would be the purpose of that particular test.fail. So you can, based on that, you can, if you have watched that video, Click on that, you can select the correct answer, or if you are already aware about it, you can select it. And guys, at the end of video, I would also be checking for that providing free membership to some random viewers. Okay, so we have got 83% for option B, which is to test to mark the test as expected to fail, and option C is selected by 17 to retry test. Actually, the correct answer is option B only. Let me reveal it. So to mark the test as expected to fail. So whenever you will provide this test.fail. So Playwright is expecting for that particular test to get failed, right? So how you need to provide it, like this you can provide here. If I will do that test.fail, okay, and here let me put one expect, so this particular test will get failed because we are just using console.log here. So we are expecting 2 to be 2, okay, 2 to be 3. So here purposefully this particular test will get failed, right? Because this particular assertion is wrong, right? 2 is not equals to 3, so this test will get failed, and we are expecting this test to get failed. If I run it, so see, I'm running this test, and we know this test is going to get failed, and see, we are seeing one passed here because we were expecting it to get failed. Okay, so whenever you are sure that that particular test will get failed, you can mark it as failed, so in the report it will be appearing as passed. Now let's go to the next question. Before that, let me reveal the leaderboard. So we have Sachi on to the top, then Ria, Anam, Saurabh, and Parminder. Okay, let's go to the next question. So when should you use test.fail? So we just discussed it, but there are some points. You can just select the correct answer. When the test is flaky, when the feature is broken but documented, when the test should be skipped forever, and when the test is slow. So you can select the correct answer out of it. In which condition you would be using test.fail, or in which scenario you would be using, right? Which one would be the correct answer according to it, you can select. And guys, previously also I have told that it is not necessary that you would be using all the annotations which we have discussed or which are there in the Playwright. They can be the case you are not using any one of them. They can be the case that you are using those test dot only when you are working on to development. This fail also you can use. So we have got 14% of answer for option A, option B for selected by 57% people, and option C selected by 29%. And the correct answer is option B, which is when the feature is broken but documented. So we know, that's what I told you, right? We know that at this particular point the test will get failed, right? Like here also I explained that we know, right, the test will get failed, but it is well documented, right? You know that test is going to get failed, but you don't want to show it in report again and again. Later there may be the case that developers would be fixing that particular bug, but till then you are just marking it as the fail, that we are expecting this particular test to get failed. Okay, and later once developer fix, we can remove this particular tag. Okay, there is one more questions related to this test.fail will appear. So based on our discussion, you can calculate the correct answer, right? What would be the correct answer? Now let's go to the next question, and the next question is, which annotation is best for temporarily disabling a flaky test? So here are all the options: dot only, dot fail, dot test.fixme, and test.skip. So which annotation will you use just to temporarily disabling a flaky test? You have 40 more seconds. And guys, what do you feel in the 60 seconds or more? So should we reduce this particular time, or is it okay to be 60 seconds, or we can reduce it to 30 seconds if you don't need that much time, right? Just let me know into the comments. We can change this particular time. We have got one question from Shiva. We will take it. Okay, So we have got all the answers, and option A is selected by 29% people, option B is selected by 71% people. That may reveal the correct answer. Option C is the correct answer, which is test.fixme. So whenever you want to temporarily disable a flaky test, right, you can use this test.fixme. You can also use the test.skip, but in that case you just want to skip the test, right? If the test.skip also you want to use, that is also okay, but fixme is kind of that later we need to work on this particular test, right? Somehow we need to make some changes, or on the UI some changes are going to happen, right? Because of that we will have to update the test. So in that case we will be using this test.fixme. So if you are using, let me see if I used this somewhere. No, not used it. Let me use it here only. So test.fixme, I can provide it like that. Okay, let me really let it be, right? It is going to get filled. That is not an issue. Now let me run it. You can use the CLI, or I am directly using this VS command, VS Code extension to execute the test. And see, this particular test got skipped, but here we have added that fixme, because here we are specifically telling into the test script that whosoever is looking at this particular test, it is going to get fixed, right? We need to work on this particular test, so that's why we are marking it as fixme rather than using skip. Here the test is going to get skipped only, right? And now let me reveal the leaderboard. So we have Dia onto the top, then we have Anam, Sakshi, Parminder, and Saurabh Agrawal. Okay. Now let's go to the next question. Which annotation affects timeout but does not skip execution? And here are all the options. Option A is test.skip, option B is test.slow, option C is test.only, and option D is test.fixme. So what is the question? That which annotation you would be using, right, which affects timeout but does not skip execution? So timeout, we just discussed, right? And you just answer it, then we will discuss about more. Otherwise I will reveal the answer. Okay, all the people have given the answer, and the correct actually 57% people have selected test.slow, 43 has selected test.only, and the correct answer is this test.slow. So which where the question was, it affects the timeout but does not skip execution. So about test.slow, previously also we discussed, it increases the timeout for the specific test, right? So you know that specific functionality is quite slow, right? It is taking time to load the page or load the form or any functionality, right, which is slow, and for that you just want to increase the timeout, right? So in that case you can use this test.slow, so it will rise the timeout. I mean, for the normal test, so let's say if the timeout is 30 seconds, so for this particular one it will increase the timeout. So at any point your test will not get failed, right? I mean, it can get failed, but because of this slowness your test will not get failed. Let's say if page load is taking time till 90 seconds also, so it will wait, right, for that particular element or for that particular assertion to get passed. Actually it will wait for the element, and then usually it is 30 seconds, so it will increase that particular timeout to 90 seconds. Okay, now let me go to the next question. Which is true about test.only? Option A is it skip other tests permanently. Option B is it should not be committed to the main branch. Option C is it retries the test, and option D is it marks test as flaky. So when we use this test.only, we previously also discussed that if you just want to execute one test, right, in that case you would be using this test.only. If during development, let's say there are 3 tests only which you want to execute, so in that case you can mark those tests only as test.only, and those 3 tests will get executed. It usually, if you are using VS Code extension, I usually do not put that test.only. During development I use this VS Code extension, right? So I just click on this one. So only if I just want to execute this test. But let's say there is a condition that you want to execute 3 tests and you are using CLI, so you can mark those tests as only, and those tests will get executed. And now let me check. So 17% people have selected option B, option C is selected by 67, and option B is selected by 67, and option C is selected by 17% people. Let me reveal the correct answer. So this one is correct answer. It should not be committed to the main branch. So previously also I told you that if you are using this test.only, make sure that you are not committing it to the main branch. And even if it is committed, so in the config file we saw one scenario, right? In the config file you need to mention it like this, test dot, this one, forbid only. And in case of CI we are mentioning that this, let's say let's consider one scenario. There is one test, you mark the test dot only, you push that code onto the master, right? So in that case what will happen, your pipeline will just execute one test, and if it is getting passed, it will every time will get passed, right? And you will never get to know that you are just running one test, right? But if we will use this forbid only with this particular value, so in that case what will happen, your pipeline will specifically get failed, right? Because you have committed this only. So although it is suggested that we should not commit this test dot only, even if it is committed, there is a way so that we will get to know that there is something wrong, you have committed only. And now let me reveal the leaderboard, and after that we have only 4 more questions left. Now we have Ria on to the top, then Anam, Sakshi, Parminder, and Love. And now let's go to the next question, which is 7th one. The question is, which annotation is used for a describe block to focus only the task suite? So I will just reframe it. There is one case where I just want to execute full describe block. If inside that describe block 3 tests are there, so you want to execute only those 3 tests which are there inside the describe block. One way is that you can just mark each and every test inside the describe block as test.only. But there is one more way which you can use. So these are the options. You can select the correct answer. Because let's say inside that particular test, if 10 tests are there inside the describe block, it would be very difficult to mark them one by one, right? But you have the scenario that you want to execute all the tests which are there only inside the describe block. If it is something there which is outside that describe block, or which are there inside any other describe block, that we don't want to execute. So in that case you need to select this option. So 86% people have selected option B, and 14% people have selected option C. And let me reveal the correct answer. So option B is the correct answer, which is test.describe.only. Okay, so how you can put it? So let me check if we are using the describe block. So see, here we are using the describe block. Okay, let me remove this fixme. Okay, so inside the describe block 3 tests are there, and outside of it there are more tests. There can be more describe blocks outside it, but we just want to execute this describe block. So in that case what we can do, we can just put this test.describe.only, and that's it. Okay, once you will run the tests or this whole test script file, okay, so what will happen, it will just execute these 3 tests. We can use this VS Code extension, or we can also use CLI command, right? For now I'm just executing the whole file. Let's see. So here if you are executing the whole file, see, why it is failing. Okay, this particular test should be failed. So see, it just executed 3 tests. Here it is getting failed because we have put this wrong assertion. We are expecting 2 to be 3, but it just executed these 3 tests, right? Because of this test.describe.only. Other test it skipped, right? It did not execute. Like this, we can mark this describe block also as only. And now let's go to the next question. And the next question is this one: which annotation is used to skip the test based on condition? So option A is test.skip if, option B is test.skip with condition callback, option C is test.fail, and option D is test.only. You can select the correct answer. You have 40 more seconds left. So you have certain condition. Let's say you want to skip your test for the Chrome browser or for the Safari browser. So in that case, how you will skip? So that's what is the question, right? I'm just re-saying this question so that it would be easy for you to understand. Now you can select the correct answer. Okay, so we have got 29% for test.skip if, 43% for test.skip with condition callback, and 29% for test.fail. And let me reveal the correct answer. So option B is the correct answer, which is test.skip with condition callback. So how you can use this test.skip with conditional statement? So let me go to the VS Code, and here let's say we want to skip this test. Okay, so here we can put test.skip, and here then we can provide the condition. And how we can provide the condition? So see, like this. See here, browser name, here we have put test.skip, then we can use this browser name not equals to webkit. Okay, and if I use it, what will happen? If browser is Chrome, if browser is what we are mentioning, that if it is not webkit, then skip that particular test, and if it is webkit, then don't skip. It is like that. So like this, you can put any condition. It is just an example, right? You can provide that particular condition here, and you should be able to here you will have to fetch the browser name also, right? So you should be able to browser name, I think you can fetch from this only, from the fixture, right? This is browser name is a fixture which you can put here, and then if browser name is not webkit, then we want to skip the test. Only in case of webkit we want to execute it. So like this, you can put any condition, right? And let me reveal the leaderboard quickly, and then there are 2 more questions left. So we have Sakshi on to the first position, then Ria, Anam, Love, and Parminder Kaur. Okay, today more people are giving wrong answers. So as if you are still having any doubt related to it, you can watch the video related to the annotation, right? It is little tricky topic because there may, as I told, there may be the case you would not be using some of the annotations, but you should be aware about this, right? During the interview, if interviewer is asking, even if he or they are not using that into the company, if the question is coming, you should be able to answer it, right? Now the next question is, what happens if the test.fail test unexpectedly passes, right? So here test.fail we have already seen in the third video, right? Third question, that if we are providing test.fail, we are specifically mentioning that this test should get passed, right? But what if it is getting passed? So what will happen? So there are all the options. It is marked as skipped. Okay, we have got answers also from all the people. So 14% people have selected it is marked as skipped, 71% people have selected is marked as failed, and 14% people have selected it is marked as flaky. Let me reveal the correct answer. So the correct answer it is marked as failed, right? So what is the scenario? Just let me explain you. You are providing test.fail, but that test is somehow getting passed, right? So in that case, what should happen? So what should happen? That particular test should get failed, right? Let me just quickly show you. It is little tricky, but you will get. So see, this test we know. Let me run it. Let me remove this only from here first. Let me run this test. So this test will get failed, right? We know it. So let's say there is a feature which we know that it is going to get failed. It is well documented also that for now this functionality will get failed. So what we will do, we will mark it as fail, test.fail. So now if we are marking this particular test as fail, so we know that this test is going to get failed, and if it is getting failed, so which means it will mark it as passed. You see, if I will run it, it will appear as passed, although this particular functionality will get failed, right? But that was the expected behavior, that it should get failed. But somehow, let's say, let me correct this condition, 1 equals to 1 I am doing. So we are marking this test as test.fail, but this test will get passed. Okay. So now what should happen? So in such cases where if a test is marked as failed, but somehow if it is getting passed, we will get this failure that expected to fail, but it got passed, right? Like this, you can use it as per your requirement. Now let's go to the next and the last question. And guys, if you are still having any doubt related to any question which we have just discussed, so you can just post it into the comments, into the live chat, right? And this is the last question. Which annotation should you use to mark a test that is broken and needs to be fixed later? Yeah, this we already discussed, but this is the question is little different, right? So here are all the options: test.only, test.skip, test.fixme, and test.describe. So you can select the correct answer. Then I will just have a look if someone has asked any question. Okay, so we have got some questions into the chat. Okay, let me first reveal the correct answer, then we can go for the different questions which people have asked. Okay, so all the people have already given the correct answer, which is test.fixme. It is well obvious, right? If we want to skip, if we want to mark a specific test that which will get fixed later, we can just select the fixme. How you need to select it, that we have just discussed. After the test, we just need to provide that fixme. Okay, now we are done with all the questions. Let me reveal the leaderboard quickly. So we have Sakshi is winner for this particular quiz, and we have Ria, Anam, Parminder, and Bluff. Okay, so congratulations to all of the people, and this is the hardest question which was selected right by only 43% people. That which annotation is used to skip the test based on condition. So that we already discussed. You need to provide test.skip, and then within the parenthesis you need to provide that condition that when it will get failed. Apart from that, you can also mention that reason also as a second argument inside that, so that you can explore later. Okay. And now let's see all the questions which different people have asked. So first question is this one: challenges to convert the Selenium framework to Playwright framework. Okay, so see, both the things, if you are using Selenium with Java and Playwright with TypeScript, so it is going to be difficult, right? Because the language itself is completely wrong, and in Playwright it is, I mean, in the Selenium usually we go for the XPath, right, to select the specific element, but here into the Playwright we have these get by methods which can be used directly. If you want to use the XPath, that can you can pick, right? But apart from that, you will have to do somehow the new development itself. There's one scenario which you can try, which is Playwright agents, right? Where Playwright agents or Playwright MCP server also, where you can mention the specific code, right, and you can ask it to convert it into the Playwright. I have not tried it, but that can be helpful, and that can be easy to convert those tests into the Playwright, right? Playwright with TypeScript. So you just try it. I mean, I have already published multiple videos related to the Playwright MCP server and Playwright agents. So you just put your code right in the specific file, give that particular file as the context to the Playwright MCP server, right, to GitHub Copilot, and then mention your prompt that you want to convert this Selenium test into the Playwright test and see how it is working, right? as it should be able to convert that particular piece of code or particular test script file into the Playwright, right? Just give it a try, but it is going to be difficult if you are on to the different languages, right? There is only one thing which is like Spark. Apart from that, everything is different. You'll have to work too much, and you will have to just work on the new development. It would be like that. But now we have MCP server, Playwright agents, so we can use them, and it should make our life easy to, if you want to convert the whole framework or convert the specific test script. If framework is completely different, you will have to separately develop it. It will not happen that you are just picking that framework and just you are using it into the Playwright. That is not going to happen. Now we are going to the next step. I hope I answered your question. If still you are having any doubt, just let me know. Now we are going for the next question. So we have got question from Saurabh. For previous question, if we use test.only, so it will also merge in the main pipeline. Okay, so I think it is related to the question where we discussed that what would be the correct statement for the test.only, and the correct answer was that we should not merge it into the master. And yes, we will have to keep the track that we are not merging that test.only onto the master, but as this thing is there, right, forbid only. So here we are just mentioning that if this forward we are giving this forbid only, and here we are mentioning that if we are onto the CI, right, so in such cases we should if the pipeline is executing, so it should get failed. Otherwise, if your test is also getting passed, you will not get to know, right, that you have just committed that only and it is just running the one test, right? So that's where your pipeline should get failed. So that's why we are just specifying that it should forward only. If there is any dot only into your test file, so just mention it into the pipeline, right? So pipeline will be showing that particular thing to you that you have committed online only, right? It will get failed and you should be able to correct it. You should be able to revert that back. So about this, it is not stopping us to merge it into the master, but it will letting us know that you have committed test.only and you can correct it. Okay. Saurav, I hope I answered your question. There are one more. Okay, so if you don't use forbid.only option, which is the if you don't use forbid option, which is optional, I think, and not mandatory. That's what sort of, right, which we discussed, right? It's up to us that it will not stop us to commit that, but it will let us know that you have committed that test.only. So option is not wrong, it is just going to specify, it is not going to stop, right? It is the Git code, you can commit anything there, but you will have to be more cautious while committing this test.only. As I told, I usually prefer this. While if I just want to execute one test or one describe block, I usually prefer this VS code extension, right? Here we need not to change this test.only. We can just simply click onto the run from here, or we can select the specific test, and that will be executing. Playwright will be executing that particular test. So one thing is that you can avoid using that test.only, and if you are using, you will have to be cautious about it. Saurabh, I hope I answered your question. Okay, now let's go to the next question. So we have got one question from Satya, that normal form with JSON data is fine for Playwright framework. Okay. So Satya, what is the question? This is looking like statement to me that normal form with a JSON is fine for the Playwright framework. Yeah, it is okay. There are multiple features which can be there in the Playwright framework, but if you just want to use page object model with JSON data for passing the test data, so it is okay. But there are more features which you can use, like you can do that authentication, right? For that you can use the state. So every time you don't have to log in, you can use encryption, decryption, and apart from that, you can use test.steps. You can follow the proper naming convention. There are more things into the framework which you can follow, and For that I have already created one video here, I mean 3 videos here into the playlist, right, which are specifically related to the framework. See, this part 1, part 2 and part 3. You can watch these 3 videos and you will be, I mean there are I have tried to cover most of the different things which you can use inside the framework, which can be helpful into your project. But if you want to remove anything, let's say you don't want to do any encryption decryption, so you can remove that particular part from there, right? If you don't want to do authentication automatically, right, in that case you can remove that part. So that's totally up to you. Okay, then let's go to the next question. We have got thanks from Shiva. Welcome Shiva. And there's one more question from Shiva only, that how do retries interact with annotations like skip or fail? Okay, so in case of skip, I mean see, when the retry will happen, the retry will happen only in the case when your test is going to get failed, right? So because of any reason your test got failed, so in that case retry will happen. If you are skipping it, fail itself is not happening, right? So retry will not be applicable in that case. And the second part, that if you are saying that test.fail, in case of test.fail, so specifically we want the test to get failed, right? If it is getting failed inside, Playwright is marking that test as passed, right? So in that case also retry will not happen. But if that test which you have marked as test.fail is getting passed somehow, so in that case retry should occur. We can check it quickly. I mean, I have not tried that scenario, but what I am assuming that it should retry that one more time. Let me check it. We'll have to run it through the CLI. Sometime with the extension, I'm not sure how it will behave. Let me increase the retry for the local. Okay, for the local the retry is 1. Okay, and here we are marking it as fail, but it will get passed, and we are assuming we are assuming that it should retry it, right, because it is getting passed, but we were expecting it to get failed. Okay, and now let me run it through the CLI. There are multiple tests. Okay, let me move this particular file into archive for now, so that we have only one test. Okay, and let me check if all other tests are getting passed, so that it will be easy for us to run it. Okay, now all the tests should be get passed. This is also, we are marking it as failed, that it should get failed, but it will get passed, and it Playwright should show us the failure. And now we can run it and click Playwright test. Let's see how it is behaving. In what I'm assuming that it should not, it should retry one more time, right? Because what we were expecting, that is not happening. You see, all these tests are still getting passed. See, one retry happened, I just saw. Let me. Okay. So other tests are okay. Which one we were failing? The test 6. This one. Okay, let me open it and see. For this retry happened. Why happened? Because although this test is getting passed, but we were expecting it to get failed. Okay, and it got passed, so that's why Playwright is retrying that again to check that again this test should get failed, right? So in that case, retry is behaving as expected only. That's why I told that if you are marking the specific test as fail, and if somehow it is getting passed, Playwright will try to pass it. Playwright will try to fail it into the next retry, right? It is expecting that only, so that is okay. Okay, now I think we are done with all the questions. We have got multiple questions from multiple people. I hope I answered all the questions. Still, if you are having any doubt, just leave a comment on to any of the video which you are watching. Leave a timestamp also with that, so I should be able to answer it. And into the next live quiz, we are going to have questions related to the next topic. which will come after this annotation, which is there into the playlist, right? So let me show that video to you. So we would be covering this playwright hooks thing, right? If you have not watched that video, I would recommend you to watch this video. So we will try to cover most of the questions related to this topic, and you can be prepared for that, right? So I would be doing the next live on next Saturday. What is that date? I will let you know if there is any change between Saturday or Sunday. I will be doing that live, so you can join the same live. Till then, we are good. We have answered all the questions. So, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.